Jamal was a bright and ambitious 15-year-old boy living in a lively neighborhood. He was known for his infectious laughter and his ability to make friends easily. School days were filled with classes, hanging out with his buddies, and dreaming about the future. Each morning, he would wake up to the smell of pancakes drifting from the kitchen, where his mother was preparing breakfast. Jamal loved these moments, sharing stories with his family over a warm meal. His grandfather, who lived with them, was his greatest source of inspiration. Grandpa would often sit in his favorite chair, telling Jamal tales of bravery and kindness from his own youth. He would say, "Son, it's important to look out for others. You never know how much a small act of kindness can change someone's life." Jamal cherished these lessons and tried to embody them in his everyday life. He understood that, while he was just a kid, he could still make a difference in his community. After school, Jamal loved to gather with his friends at the local park. They would play basketball, joke around, and share dreams of becoming great athletes, doctors, or even superheroes. Jamal often played as the point guard, known for his quick moves and sharp passes. His friends would cheer him on, and he loved the feeling of belonging and the support of those around him. It was during these carefree moments that he felt like anything was possible. But Jamal also faced challenges. Like many kids his age, he had moments of self-doubt. Sometimes, he felt overwhelmed with schoolwork or pressure to fit in. His grades were important to him, and he wanted to make his family proud. Whenever he struggled, he would remind himself of his grandfather's words. He would think about how his grandpa had faced hardships and still managed to stay kind and helpful. As much as he enjoyed being with his friends, Jamal often thought about the people in his neighborhood. Some were elderly and needed help with groceries or just someone to talk to. Jamal felt a strong urge to reach out and make their lives a little brighter. He started volunteering at a local community center, where he helped organize events and activities for the elderly. This work made him feel fulfilled, knowing that he could contribute to their happiness. Jamal's life was a mix of school, family, sports, and community service. He balanced these aspects with grace, always looking for opportunities to lend a hand. His friends admired his spirit, and he encouraged them to join him in his volunteer work. Together, they planted flowers in the local park, organized fun games for the neighborhood kids, and made sure the elderly felt valued. Each small act made a significant impact on their community. Little did Jamal know that his life was about to take a dramatic turn. A regular day, filled with basketball and laughter, would soon lead him to an unexpected encounter that would change everything. It was a typical afternoon as he headed home from school, his mind racing with thoughts of his upcoming basketball game and the homework he needed to finish. But fate had something else in store for him, a moment that would not only test his character, but also transform his life forever. It was a sunny afternoon when Jamal left school, feeling excited about the basketball game he had been looking forward to all week. As he walked home, the streets buzzed with the sounds of kids playing, cars passing by, and the occasional bark of a dog. Jamal loved this vibrant neighborhood. It was filled with people, stories, and life. He often took the same route, passing by the park where he played with his friends. On this particular day, however, something felt different. As he turned the corner onto Maple Street, he noticed a small crowd gathered on the sidewalk. Jamal's curiosity got the better of him, and he moved closer to see what was happening. As he approached, he saw an older man lying on the ground. His face was pale, and people around him were looking worried and confused. Jamal felt a rush of panic, but remembered his grandfather's lessons about helping others. He pushed through the crowd, determined to see if he could do something. "Is anyone calling for help?" Jamal asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. A woman nearby shook her head. "I don't know what to do. He just collapsed," she exclaimed, her voice filled with concern. Jamal recognized the man as Mr. Thompson, an elderly resident who often sat on a bench in the park, sharing stories with anyone who would listen. Jamal felt a wave of urgency wash over him. He had learned some first aid skills in school, and now was the time to use them. Without hesitating, Jamal knelt beside Mr. Thompson. He gently checked for signs of breathing and a pulse. The crowd watched in silence, their eyes glued to the scene unfolding before them. Jamal felt the weight of their gaze, but focused on Mr. Thompson. He remembered the steps he had practiced during his first aid training. Check, call for help, and start CPR if necessary. Someone call 911. He shouted, hoping someone would take action. A teenager stepped forward, pulling out his phone and dialing for help. Jamal took a deep breath, placed his hands on Mr. Thompson's chest, and began the rhythmic push and pump he had practiced. It felt surreal, but his instincts kicked in. As he continued, Jamal's mind raced with thoughts of Mr. Thompson's stories and laughter, the way he always greeted kids in the neighborhood with a smile. He felt a sense of purpose, knowing he was fighting to bring that joy back to the man who had brightened so many lives. After what felt like an eternity, Jamal heard the distant wail of sirens approaching. He pushed harder, fueled by the determination to keep Mr. Thompson alive. Suddenly, he noticed a flicker of movement. Mr. Thompson coughed and took a shaky breath. Relief washed over Jamal as he realized that his efforts were working. Moments later, paramedics arrived, quickly assessing the situation and taking over. They carefully placed Mr. Thompson on a stretcher, and Jamal stepped back, feeling both exhausted and proud. The crowd began to disperse, but Jamal stayed for a moment, his heart still racing. He had done it. He had saved a life. As the ambulance doors closed, Jamal felt a wave of emotions flood over him. He had entered the scene as just another kid, but had emerged as someone who had made a real difference. Little did he know that this day would mark the beginning of a life-changing journey, one that would lead him to new friendships, challenges, and a deeper understanding of what it meant to be a hero. After the ambulance took Mr. Thompson away, Jamal felt a mix of relief and uncertainty. He had never done anything like that before, and his heart was still pounding from the adrenaline. As he walked home, the world around him felt different. The laughter of kids playing seemed distant, and the usual chatter of the neighborhood felt muted. He replayed the moments in his mind, questioning if he had really done enough. When he reached home, his mother was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. She looked up and noticed the serious expression on his face. "Hey, honey, what's wrong? You look a bit shaken," she asked, concern evident in her voice. Jamal hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to explain. I saw Mr. Thompson collapse today. I helped him. I did CPR until the paramedics arrived," he finally said, his voice shaking slightly. His mother dropped the spatula and rushed to him, wrapping her arms around him in a tight embrace. "Oh, Jamal, I'm so proud of you. That's incredibly brave," she said, her eyes shining with pride. Hearing her words made him feel a little lighter, but the weight of the day still hung over him. Over dinner, Jamal shared the details of the incident with his family. His grandfather listened intently, nodding with understanding. "You did what you could, Jamal. Not everyone has the courage to step up like you did. You saved a life," he said, his voice full of warmth. Jamal felt a swell of pride at his grandfather's words, but he also felt a twinge of worry about Mr. Thompson. He hoped the man was okay. That evening, Jamal struggled to focus on his homework. His mind kept drifting back to the incident. What if Mr. Thompson didn't recover? What if he had been too late? The questions weighed heavily on him. After a few hours, he finally decided to go to bed, hoping that a good night's sleep would help clear his mind. The next morning, Jamal awoke to the smell of pancakes wafting through the air again. As he sat down for breakfast, his mother handed him the morning newspaper. The headline read, "Local Hero Saves Elderly Man from Heart Attack." Jamal's heart skipped a beat as he read about his actions from the day before. The article praised his bravery and mentioned how quickly he had jumped in to help. "Wow, look at you," his mother exclaimed, beaming with pride. "You're a hero, Jamal." She smiled, but Jamal felt a mix of emotions. He didn't see himself as a hero. He had just done what anyone should have done. As the day went on, the news spread throughout the community. People began to approach him, congratulating him and thanking him for his bravery. His friends at school were amazed, and Jamal felt their admiration, but he still felt a bit awkward about it all. He wanted to remind them that he was just a kid trying to do the right thing. Later that day, as he was hanging out at the park with his friends, he spotted a familiar face approaching him. It was Mr. Thompson's daughter, Maria, who was teary-eyed but smiling. "Jamal, thank you for what you did for my father. He is recovering well, thanks to you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Jamal felt a rush of relief wash over him. "I'm really glad to hear that," he replied, his heart warming at the news. Maria hugged him tightly, and in that moment, Jamal understood the true impact of his actions. He had not only saved a life, but also connected with a family. As the sun began to set, Jamal realized that he had stepped into something much bigger than he had ever imagined. This single moment had not just changed Mr. Thompson's life, but had also opened a door for Jamal. He felt a spark of purpose igniting within him, one that would lead him on a path he had never anticipated. In the days following the incident, Jamal's life transformed in ways he hadn't expected. The local news coverage of his heroic act spread through the community like wildfire. Everywhere he went, people recognized him and congratulated him for saving Mr. Thompson's life. At school, his classmates greeted him with high fives and smiles, treating him like a celebrity. While he appreciated their kindness, it felt a little overwhelming. Jamal was just a regular kid who had done what he thought was right. As the week passed, Jamal received a phone call from a local community organization that wanted to honor him for his bravery. They invited him to a small ceremony at the city hall. Jamal felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight, but he knew this was an opportunity to show others that anyone could be a hero, even just by helping someone in need. On the day of the ceremony, Jamal wore his best shirt and a pair of jeans. When he arrived, he was greeted by the mayor and a crowd of community members. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and gratitude. Jamal stood on stage as the mayor spoke highly of him, calling him an inspiration for the whole neighborhood. Jamal felt a blush creeping up his cheeks. He never imagined his small act of kindness could inspire so many. When it was time for him to speak, Jamal took a deep breath. "Thank you all for your kind words," he began, his voice shaking slightly. "I just did what I thought was right. Anyone would have helped if they could. I'm just glad Mr. Thompson is okay." His sincerity resonated with the audience, and they applauded him warmly. In that moment, Jamal realized that his actions had not only helped Mr. Thompson, but had also encouraged others to think about how they could help in their own ways. After the ceremony, Jamal's family was there, beaming with pride. His mother hugged him tightly, and his grandfather gave him a nod of approval. "You did good, son. You made a difference," his grandpa said, his voice filled with emotion. Jamal felt proud, but he also felt a sense of responsibility. He wanted to keep making a difference, to help others in the same way he had helped Mr. Thompson. As the days turned into weeks, Jamal found himself thinking about ways to give back to the community. He remembered how much he enjoyed volunteering at the community center. Inspired by the recognition he received, he decided to start a program for kids in his neighborhood, where he could help younger kids with their homework and teach them important life skills. He wanted to create a space where kids could feel safe, learn, and have fun. Jamal shared his idea with his friends, and they were excited to join him. Together, they brainstormed activities, games, and lessons they could share. The group decided to hold their first session at the community center on Saturday. Jamal felt a rush of excitement and nervousness. Would the kids show up? Would they be interested? When Saturday arrived, Jamal set up the room with his friends, filling it with colorful posters and materials. As they waited, He felt butterflies in his stomach. But soon, kids began to trickle in, curious about what was happening. Jamal welcomed each one with a smile, and soon the room was filled with laughter and energy. The first few sessions went better than Jamal had hoped. The kids were eager to learn, and he loved watching them grow and gain confidence. He shared stories about his own experiences and encouraged them to be kind and brave. Jamal realized that this was what he wanted to do: help others and inspire them to make a difference in their own lives. Little did he know, this initiative would become much more than just a weekend program. It would lay the foundation for something bigger, something that would change his life forever. Each day, as he left the community center, Jamal felt fulfilled and more determined than ever to be a source of positivity and support in his neighborhood. As the weeks rolled by, Jamal's weekend program grew more popular. Kids from all over the neighborhood came to the community center, eager to learn and play. Each session was filled with laughter, creativity, and a sense of belonging. Jamal felt a deep sense of purpose as he watched the kids come together, sharing ideas and supporting one another. It was a vibrant space where everyone felt valued, and he knew he was doing something meaningful. One afternoon, as Jamal was preparing for the next session, he received an unexpected phone call. It was Mr. Thompson's daughter, Maria. She wanted to thank him again for saving her father and invited him over for dinner. Jamal was surprised but excited. He had been thinking about Mr. Thompson a lot and hoped to see him again. When Jamal arrived at their home, he was greeted with warm smiles. The aroma of delicious food filled the air. Mr. Thompson was sitting in the living room, looking much healthier than the last time Jamal had seen him. His face lit up when he spotted Jamal. "There's my hero," he exclaimed, waving him over. Jamal felt his cheeks flush with pride. Dinner was a lively affair. They shared stories and laughter, and Jamal felt like part of the family. Mr. Thompson recounted his adventures as a young man, sharing stories of travel and life lessons that inspired Jamal. "You know, Jamal," Mr. Thompson said, leaning forward, "you have a rare gift. You have the heart to help others, and that's something special. Don't ever lose that." Jamal listened intently, absorbing every word. He felt a connection with Mr. Thompson that was deeper than he had realized. They talked about the community program Jamal had started, and Mr. Thompson's eyes sparkled with interest. "That's wonderful. You're not just changing lives. You're building a community," he said, his voice filled with pride. As dinner came to an end, Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair and looked at Jamal thoughtfully. "You know, I've been thinking about how I could help too. How about I join your program? I have some skills and stories to share that might inspire those kids even more." Jamal's heart raced with excitement. Having Mr. Thompson as part of the program would be incredible. "Really? That would be amazing," Jamal replied, grinning from ear to ear. They discussed ideas for future sessions, and Mr. Thompson's enthusiasm was contagious. The two of them came up with plans for storytelling sessions, where Mr. Thompson could share his life experiences, as well as lessons on gardening and cooking. Jamal could already picture the kids' faces lighting up as they learned from someone so wise and experienced. As they wrapped up the evening, Maria thanked Jamal for being such a positive influence on her father. "You've brought him back to life, you know," she said with a smile. Jamal felt a warm glow of happiness. Knowing he had made a difference in Mr. Thompson's life filled him with joy. After that night, Mr. Thompson became a regular part of Jamal's program. The kids adored him, hanging on his every word during storytelling sessions. His stories brought history to life, and Jamal often found himself mesmerized, learning right alongside the younger kids. The program flourished, and word spread throughout the neighborhood. More families became involved, and soon, Jamal had kids of all ages participating. Jamal realized that the program had become more than just a way to help others. It was a community of support, friendship, and learning. With Mr. Thompson's mentorship, Jamal found himself growing too. He learned to embrace his role as a leader, finding confidence in his ability to inspire others. This new chapter in his life was thrilling, and Jamal felt grateful for the connection he had with Mr. Thompson. Little did he know that their bond would lead to even greater adventures, and together, they would inspire many more lives in ways they could never have imagined. As the weeks passed, Jamal's program continued to grow, bringing together kids from different backgrounds and ages. Each Saturday, the community center buzzed with excitement as laughter and chatter filled the air. Jamal and Mr. Thompson worked well together, combining their strengths to create engaging sessions. While Jamal focused on activities and games, Mr. Thompson captivated the kids with his incredible stories and life lessons. One day, they decided to organize a special event, a community talent show. Jamal thought it would be a great way to showcase the skills of the kids and foster a sense of pride in their abilities. "We can have singing, dancing, poetry, and even a little magic show," he suggested to Mr. Thompson, who nodded enthusiastically. "That sounds like a wonderful idea. Let's get the kids involved in planning it." With the talent show on the horizon, excitement bubbled through the community center. The kids couldn't stop talking about it, and everyone was eager to participate. Jamal encouraged them to practice their acts, offering support and tips along the way. Some kids formed a singing group, while others worked on a dance routine. Jamal even helped a shy girl named Lily write a poem that she could recite during the show. As the event drew closer, Jamal felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He wanted everything to go perfectly, but he also knew that not every performance would be flawless. He wanted the kids to feel proud of their efforts, no matter the outcome. Mr. Thompson reminded him, "The goal is not to be perfect. It's to have fun and share our talents with the community. That's what matters." On the day of the talent show, the community center was buzzing with energy. Families filled the chairs, eagerly awaiting the performances. Jamal stood backstage with the kids, feeling their nervous energy. "Just remember to have fun. We're all here to support each other," he said, offering encouragement. One by one, the kids took the stage, showcasing their unique talents. The first act was a group of boys performing a rap song they had written. The crowd cheered and clapped, encouraging them to go on. Next, Lily stepped up, her hands shaking slightly as she held her poem. Jamal watched her with pride, knowing how hard she had worked. As she began to read, her voice trembled, but grew stronger with each line. The audience listened intently, and when she finished, the applause was deafening. Lily beamed, her confidence shining bright. As the show went on, Mr. Thompson took the stage to share some of his own stories and wisdom. He captivated everyone with tales from his youth and the lessons he had learned over the years. His presence added a special touch to the event, and the audience was mesmerized. Jamal felt grateful for Mr. Thompson's contributions, realizing how much he had learned from him in such a short time. After a few more performances, Jamal stepped up to close the show. "Thank you all for being here today. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. You all showed incredible courage by sharing your talents with us. Remember, it's not just about winning or losing. It's about supporting one another and celebrating who we are," he said, his heart full of warmth. As the event came to an end, the room filled with applause and cheers. The kids hugged each other, filled with a sense of accomplishment. The community spirit was alive and strong, and everyone left with smiles on their faces. Jamal couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with joy. In the days that followed, the talent show became a hot topic in the neighborhood. Families spoke about how wonderful it was to see the kids shine and support each other. Jamal realized that this was just the beginning. His program had not only helped the kids grow in confidence, but had also brought the community closer together. As Jamal lay in bed that night, he thought about the journey he had embarked on. He felt grateful for the friendships he had formed, the lives he had touched, and the support of Mr. Thompson. He knew that they were building something special together, something that would leave a lasting impact on their community. Little did he know, This was only a stepping stone to even greater adventures that awaited them in the future. As the summer rolled in, Jamal's community program continued to thrive, and the kids were buzzing with excitement about what they could do next. Inspired by the success of the talent show, Jamal decided to plan a summer camp at the community center. It would be a place where kids could learn new skills, make friends, and enjoy fun activities. With Mr. Thompson by his side, he felt ready to take on this new adventure. Jamal spent the next few weeks organizing everything. He gathered supplies, reached out to parents, and created a schedule filled with arts and crafts, sports, storytelling, and cooking classes. Mr. Thompson helped him develop a workshop focused on life skills, where he could share his wisdom and experiences with the kids. The excitement among the kids was infectious, and many of them couldn't wait to sign up. On the first day of summer camp, Jamal arrived early to set up. He decorated the community center with colorful posters and balloons, creating a festive atmosphere. As the kids started to arrive, their eyes lit up with anticipation. They ran around, eager to see what the day would bring. Jamal welcomed each child with a big smile, feeling a rush of happiness as he watched the kids reunite with friends and make new ones. After a brief introduction, Jamal split the kids into different groups for activities. He led the younger kids in a fun game of relay races outside, while Mr. Thompson took the older ones for a storytelling session. Jamal loved seeing the laughter and excitement as the kids cheered each other on. The air was filled with energy, and Jamal couldn't help but feel proud of what they were creating together. In the following days, the camp continued to grow. The kids engaged in various activities, exploring new interests and talents. They painted, danced, played sports, and even cooked simple meals together. Jamal noticed how the kids were not only having fun, but also learning to work together and support one another. The bonds they were forming felt like a second family, and he was thrilled to be part of it. One afternoon, while the kids were busy painting, Jamal noticed a quiet boy named Amr sitting by himself, looking lost. Jamal approached him and knelt down to his level. "Hey, Amr, what's up? Why aren't you painting with everyone?" he asked gently. Amr shrugged, his eyes downcast. "I'm not very good at art. I don't think anyone will like what I make," he mumbled. Jamal's heart went out to him. "You know, it's not about being the best. It's about having fun and expressing yourself. I'd love to see what you create," he encouraged, hoping to boost Amir's confidence. After a moment of hesitation, Amr nodded and picked up a paintbrush. As Jamal sat with him, helping him mix colors and sharing ideas, he saw a spark of creativity begin to emerge. Amr slowly started to paint, his brush strokes becoming more confident. By the end of the session, he had created a colorful landscape that brought a smile to Jamal's face. "Look at that. It's beautiful, Amr. You really captured something special," Jamal praised. Amr beamed with pride, a smile breaking across his face. That moment reminded Jamal of why he started this program: to create a space where every child felt valued and could discover their talents, no matter how big or small. He realized that the impact he was making wasn't just about teaching skills. It was about nurturing self-esteem and encouraging each child to believe in themselves. As the weeks went by, Jamal continued to witness incredible transformations among the kids. Many of them blossomed, finding new passions and gaining confidence in their abilities. Amr became more outgoing, eager to share his artwork with others. The kids were not just learning from Jamal and Mr. Thompson. They were learning from each other, forming friendships that would last beyond the summer. One evening, after a long day of camp, Jamal sat down with Mr. Thompson to reflect on the journey they had taken together. "I'd never imagined this would turn into something so meaningful," Jamal said, his voice filled with gratitude. Mr. Thompson nodded, a proud smile on his face. "You've done something remarkable, Jamal. You've built a community where everyone feels they belong. Keep nurturing that spirit." As they discussed their plans for the future, Jamal felt a sense of excitement. He knew that together, they could continue to make a difference, one child at a time. And with that thought, he felt more determined than ever to create a lasting impact on the lives of those around him. Little did he know, the summer camp was just the beginning of a much bigger adventure. As the summer camp continued to thrive, Jamal felt a deep sense of fulfillment in his heart. Each day brought new adventures, and he cherished the joy he saw in the kids' faces. One sunny morning, Jamal woke up with a brilliant idea. He wanted to organize a community service day where the kids could give back to the neighborhood that had supported them. He envisioned a day filled with fun activities, like cleaning up the park, planting flowers, and helping the elderly with small tasks. Excited about the idea, Jamal rushed to the community center to share it with Mr. Thompson. "What do you think about having a community service day? It would be a great way for the kids to help out and learn about giving back," he suggested, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. Mr. Thompson's face lit up. "That's a fantastic idea, Jamal. It will teach the kids the value of community and kindness. Let's plan it together." They quickly brainstormed different activities and began organizing supplies. They printed flyers and shared the news with the kids and their families, hoping for a big turnout. On the day of the event, the community center buzzed with energy. Kids arrived with their parents, eager to get started. Jamal welcomed everyone with open arms, feeling proud of the strong sense of community that had formed. "Today, we're going to make a difference," he announced, and the kids cheered with excitement. They split into groups, each assigned different tasks around the neighborhood. One group headed to the local park, armed with trash bags and gloves, ready to clean up litter. Another group visited the nearby senior center to help the elderly with gardening and small chores. Jamal went with the group to the park, feeling energized as they worked together to pick up trash and tidy up the area. As they cleaned, Jamal noticed a group of children who had been shy in previous weeks. They were laughing and joking as they picked up trash, clearly enjoying themselves. "See, we're making our park beautiful again," one of them said, and Jamal felt his heart swell with pride. This was more than just cleaning. It was about teamwork, laughter, and creating a sense of belonging. Meanwhile, at the senior center, Mr. Thompson was leading the gardening group. He shared stories with the elderly residents while helping them plant flowers. The laughter and joy filled the air as the kids listened to their stories, forming bonds across generations. Jamal could see how much the seniors appreciated the help and the company. It reminded him of the importance of caring for one another. After a few hours of hard work, the groups reconvened at the community center for a well-deserved lunch. Everyone sat together, sharing their experiences and laughing about the day's adventures. Jamal felt a deep sense of connection as he listened to the kids talk about how rewarding it felt to help others. It was moments like these that reminded him why he had started the program in the first place. Once lunch was over, Jamal gathered everyone to reflect on the day. "Today, we didn't just clean up. We created smiles, built friendships, and showed that we care about our community," he said, his voice filled with pride. The kids nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Before heading home, Jamal and Mr. Thompson announced that they would make community service a regular part of their program. They would plan more events to give back and strengthen their bonds with the neighborhood. The kids cheered, excited at the prospect of making an impact. As Jamal watched everyone leave that day, he felt grateful. The community service day had not only brought them closer together, but also instilled a sense of responsibility in the kids. They were learning that their actions could create change, no matter how small. That evening, as Jamal lay in bed, he reflected on the incredible journey he had taken over the summer. He thought about the friendships he had formed and the lives he had touched. With Mr. Thompson's guidance, he had grown not just as a leader, but as a person. He felt inspired to continue this journey, eager to see where it would lead. Little did he know, the bond between Jamal and Mr. Thompson would open doors to even bigger projects and opportunities in the future. Together, they would embark on a new adventure that would change their lives and the lives of many others in ways they never expected. As summer drew to a close, Jamal felt a bittersweet mix of emotions. The camp had been a huge success, and he was proud of everything they had accomplished together. The kids had learned, grown, and created lasting friendships. Yet, he knew that with the end of summer, the routine they had built would change. Jamal and Mr. Thompson began to discuss how to keep the momentum going throughout the school year. "We should continue our community program even when school starts," Mr. Thompson suggested one afternoon as they sat together after camp. "We can have weekly meetings and maybe even a homework help session for the kids." Jamal loved the idea. "Yes, we could also organize after-school activities like sports or art classes," he added, excitement bubbling inside him. Together, they put together a plan to maintain the program during the school year. They decided to hold regular meetings at the community center every Saturday, where kids could come together for activities, support, and fun. They also reached out to parents, encouraging them to get involved. They wanted this to be a community effort, with everyone playing a role in shaping the future. As the new school year began, the kids returned to the community center with enthusiasm. Many of them were eager to share stories about their first days back at school. Jamal noticed how much more confident they had become, thanks to their summer experiences. With Mr. Thompson's guidance, they started planning activities for the upcoming months. One Saturday, Jamal decided to host a back-to-school bash to celebrate the start of the new school year. He wanted to create a space for the kids to reconnect and share their summer stories. They planned games, a barbecue, and even a small talent show to showcase what they had learned during the summer camp. On the day of the bash, the community center was filled with laughter, music, and the smell of delicious food. Parents mingled while kids played games and enjoyed the activities. Jamal felt a wave of happiness as he watched the kids run around, their faces lit up with joy. The bash was a great success, and it served as a reminder of how much they had all grown together. As the weeks rolled on, Jamal and Mr. Thompson continued to nurture the program. They introduced new activities like sports tournaments, art workshops, and cooking classes. Each session was filled with laughter, learning, and friendship. The sense of community was stronger than ever, and Jamal felt a deep sense of fulfillment watching the kids thrive. One day, while working on a project with the kids, Jamal noticed Amir, the shy boy from earlier, helping a new kid feel welcome. Amir was showing him around and inviting him to join their game. Jamal couldn't help but smile, realizing how far Amir had come since the start of summer camp. This transformation was the very essence of what Jamal had hoped to achieve. As the months passed, the program became a cornerstone of the community. More families got involved, and the children looked forward to each meeting. Jamal and Mr. Thompson often sat together, reflecting on the journey they had shared. They talked about how the program had blossomed and how they had all grown through the experience. One chilly evening, Jamal and Mr. Thompson were cleaning up after a successful meeting when Mr. Thompson turned to him with a twinkle in his eye. "You've done something remarkable here, Jamal. You've created a safe space for these kids, and they look up to you," he said. Jamal felt a surge of pride, but also a sense of humility. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mr. Thompson. You've guided me and inspired me every step of the way." Jamal realized that their bond had grown into something truly special. They were not just mentor and mentee. They had become friends, partners in making a difference. Together, they were changing lives and inspiring a new generation to dream big and care for one another. As the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, Jamal knew that the journey was far from over. He felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement about the future. They had plans for even more community events, and he couldn't wait to see where the next chapter would lead. With Mr. Thompson by his side, Jamal was ready to embrace whatever challenges and adventures lay ahead. In that moment, he understood that this program was not just about teaching skills or providing activities. It was about building a loving community that would continue to grow and support one another. Jamal was proud to be a part of something so meaningful, and he knew that together, they could create a brighter future for everyone involved. With hope in his heart, he looked forward to the journey ahead, ready to make a difference, one child at a time.